Hey there, fellow readers. This is Rambling Collector here, and we are back with another comic review for all of you today. And this one is going to be very unique because I've had this one in my collection for a while, and it wasn't until recently that I finally finished it. I'm sure some of you might have seen the uploaded short that I did, talking about there was a review that was coming out for this one. Well, hopefully this will not disappoint you. So, I gotta be honest with you guys. Until I saw this graphic novel, I had never even heard of Wynonna Earp until now. And I apologize if I'm butchering that name, whether it's Arp or E-Arp. Either way, I'm just here to talk about this particular comic collection called All In, done by Beau Smith, Tim Rozon, and Melanie Scrofano. And I hope I did not butcher those names, and that if you, the creators, are watching this, then I apologize if I've done so. But again, I had never heard about anything from Wynonna Earp until reading this comic book and learning that there was actually a multi-season show that came out for this. I felt ashamed, honestly. But with that being said, I'm here to talk about the comic, not the show in particular. But with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing I'll start with for my overall thoughts. Having never seen the show, this comic provided a great gateway for me into the world of Wynonna Earp. And I've got to be honest, it reminds me a lot of Supernatural, just with a lot more Western influence. Now, I know some of you are probably already up in arms thinking it is not like Supernatural at all. Well, to be fair, until recently I hadn't heard about this series. So the only close, I want to say, comparison I could find was to Supernatural. But I really like the fact that Wynonna comes from a family of monster hunters who all wield this one particular pistol known as Peacemaker, which is guaranteed to be the only weapon known that can send in evil spirits and other nasties and permanently end them. Because apparently a lot of the monsters and stuff that inhabit this world are able to regenerate, or at least spirits are. So Peacemaker is a great way to send these evil spirits permanently to the other side, whether they want to or not. But one of that actually brings up my next topic, is that I personally enjoyed the variety of creatures and crooks that Wynonna and co. faced, from a chupacabra gang rings to a mad scientist creating a zombie virus. Like, there was something there for everybody, whether it's... And when I say artwork, I mean, look at this. And if you're wondering who actually publishes this comic, it's actually IDW who owns the comic itself. But I gotta say, IDW, every time, they never disappoint, especially when it comes to great visuals brought on by the comic creators themselves. But look at this artwork here. It's clean. It is very well done. It's very detailed. A lot of times, some comics can have human proportions being either very ugly or way too over the top. This one, I feel, gets it just right, with enough being down to earth, but also enough style that it keeps you entertained and wanting to see more. And I gotta say, it paints a great visual picture. Especially this one on the left, where Wynonna in her cowgirl outfit actually has the spirit of her ancestor right behind her, in that little flash of lightning during the high noon duel, which is why that is one of my personal favorite story arcs. I love it to death, and I will continue to love it, which might have me going back to reread it. But more than that, though, there were some other great elements throughout where we see more of Wynonna's past brought up, and her own personal history, how she even got into a gang once that she felt a part of, that she felt at least like she finally had a found family. And I actually enjoyed that. So, one thing I will definitely say here is that I think I've mentioned this before when I was talking about Wanslinger Wiley. The Western theme is something that I'm still very new towards. And this coming in with like a Western themed Supernatural, I'm just like, okay, this might be interesting. I didn't know what to expect from this collection. Was I expecting a lot of Western themes? Absolutely not. Did I enjoy it though? Absolutely. And this brings to mind that I really need to check out more of the Western theme. I actually have another novel at some point known as Dreyburn that I'm definitely going to be checking out sometime soon if I can get my hands on it again. It should be in the collection Buried Somewhere, which may look and finding it. But going to Juan Singer Wiley and Wynonna Earp in general, I think I like the Western theme when it incorporates elements of either the supernatural or magic in general, because it spices up the Western theme, which I've heard is very down to earth, much more realistic, much more humane. But incorporating those extra elements adds that little bit of spice to the theme, or the setting, I should say. And Wynonna Earp, even though it takes place a lot in modern society, it also... So overall, just for sheer entertainment value and actually having me interested to check out another series, I'm definitely going to give Wynonna Earp All In a solid 10 out of 10. If you guys haven't read the comics yet, then I would definitely recommend doing so, whether you want a simple gateway into this series if you've never heard of it before, or if you're a longtime fan of the TV show and want a little something more, this graphic novel collection is definitely something I would recommend. Because this actually collects all the Wynonna Earp comics into one massive graphic novel. And I will say, it is worth it. There's a lot of great stories here that I'm seeing that might either have been adapted into the show, or might be separated from it, or it could be a supportive piece to it. I don't entirely know. This world is very, very new to me, but I'm genuinely curious to check out more. And I will say, the comic creators themselves did a fantastic job, both story-wise as well as art style-wise. They created great stories focusing on these characters, whilst also having an entertaining artistic style to them. Either way, if you haven't checked out this collection, I would definitely recommend doing so. And if you guys want to see some of the more comic reviews that I've covered in the past, please feel free to do so.